What's up, sir? How we doing?
Good, good. How you guys doing?
Good. Did we pull you out of a boring meeting or an exciting meeting?
They're all exciting meetings here, man.
Yeah, okay, the corporate guys here, dude. We gotta. I guess you're the head of corporate development at Coinbase. Obviously, been making a ton of big moves over the last little while. Most
Yes.
notably the Liquify and I think Echo acquisitions. But I want to start. I want to start in the room, the meeting, the obviously very entertaining meeting where you're like, hey, what if we just buy this NFT for $25 million? Whose idea was that? How did that come to be? Catch us up.
Yeah, totally. Oh, first of all, thanks for having me on, guys. To be honest, we've been doing M&A here at Coinbase for a long time, and we've kind of have had a playbook on how we announce acquisitions. And we were talking to Kobe and talking to the internal team, and we're like, gosh, it'd be kind of cool, just given how crypto forward this acquisition is. It'd be kind of fun to do like a little PR stunt. And we were thinking about like what we could potentially do, and the somebody had the crazy idea like we should bring back the Up Only podcast, and it was kind of like a joke at first, and then we're like, actually, I think we might be able to pull this off. And I feel like it was a lot of fun. I feel like the community liked it, and maybe we want to consider doing more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're going to be putting up an NFT just so you know if you ever want another one to go buy. It's not going to be 25 million. It's not going to be 25 million. We'll be reasonable with it, but just I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link.
I'll have my people talk to your people.
Yeah, I think we're also very interested in, I guess, the strategy behind the Echo acquisition, because I think there are two ways to look at it. One is, obviously very aligned with the economic freedom vision of Coinbase to have an ICO launchpad and create more ways for people to get early stage access to investing. And I think the other perspective is Kobe is kind of just a very strong brand and great spokesperson for maybe an audience that you guys kind of reach less. So I'm curious, obviously, I'm sure both played into it, but from a strategic perspective, how you thought about the acquisition.
Yeah, you kind of nailed it, honestly. I'll just tack on to what you said. So, taking a step back, I mean, we want to build an end-to-end capital formation platform that's done on chain. And I think the 10,000-foot view is much like, you guys and anybody else in crypto. We think that on chain is a just better infrastructure for a lot of different things. And one of those things that we have, high conviction on is tokenization of capital formation. Capital markets are on chain are inherently much more global, much more permissionless, much more accessible. And I think when you pair that with the problem, kind of proposed solution, you have a bunch of entrepreneurs that want to raise money and have a tough time doing it, and you have a bunch of investors that want to access projects that don't have access to like interesting new projects. And so Coinbase plus Echo is like the perfect home, because you're not only pushing the fold on bringing capital markets on chain, but you're also connecting investors and projects together to form those capital markets. And I think if you take the long view, it's sort of the first step in this direction of like this end-to-end on-chain capital formation platform that I think we're hopeful that can kind of bend the curve and bring more capital formation on chain.
I'm curious how much the shifting regulations play into this, and I'm wondering if my sense is that, I mean, most of the things that are happening in crypto right now are being done with this belief that that regulation is going to shift. And should we read into this move here that you at Coinbase and the sort of the broader corporate entity is very bullish on us getting to a good regulatory space soon?
I think, yeah, you wouldn't be crazy to take that away from this. I think, I've been at Coinbase almost 7 years, and when I first joined, it was kind of like a retail custodial buy sell brokerage platform, like for my parents. And that's exciting, cool, but certainly not wasn't like why I had joined the crypto industry. And I was kind of sold on this idea of a global permissionless financial system that can help disrupt a lot of the underlying mechanisms for how we even think about money. And I think from a regulatory standpoint, that's, I think, been a pretty decent inhibitor, I would say, at least historically. And as we've expanded the product suite, in the prior administration, it was obviously pretty difficult to experiment on the bounds of what's possible with crypto rails. And this administration, it's just emboldened us to take bigger and bigger bets, both organically within our existing product suite and roadmap, but also on the M&A side. I think in the prior administration, this probably would have been an open question and risk in terms of how could we all actually put all these pieces together. And I think in this administration, and hopefully going forward with regulatory clarity and that we have a little bit more of like an open field for what is okay to do, what's not okay to do, and I think that only benefits Coinbase.
I'm curious, is there kind of new categories that you guys want to expand into at Coinbase? How you approach the build versus buy question?
Yeah. Good question. So there are a lot of categories that we're excited about. I'll give you a little bit of a preview. So I think first and foremost, maybe I'll answer your second question first. So when do we think about the buy, build, or partner? So anytime there's a new category or new capability that kind of comes onto the scene in crypto, or something that we have a conviction about, we sort of think to ourselves, is this something that is fundamentally strategic to Coinbase, as a binary question that you have to answer? Because in theory, you could go out and buy, build, and partner lemonade stands that may not be particularly strategic to Coinbase. And so we answer that question first. And the second thing is there something inherently difficult about this for us to build or to get, through a partnership? And, if we decide that we actually want to be owners of it, and that it is something that's very difficult to build or lengthy to build, or there's some dynamic that pushes our hand to move quickly, then we look to buy. And I think within that, there's a number of categories that we're kind of thinking about for the better part of the next couple of quarters, as well as broader in 2026. The first is derivatives. I think most of the revenue in all of crypto is derivatives, unless you've been under a rock. It's kind of like the thing. And so we obviously acquired Deribit, which is a really big step in that direction. We want to continue to do more there. The second piece I would say is on stablecoins and payments. Same situation, unless you've been under a rock. You've probably heard about why this is important. And we think we're pretty uniquely positioned to make a pretty big splash in this category. I mean, we are direct and indirect beneficiaries of USDC. We obviously have Base, which is the number one L2. We have on and off ramps in every country, most countries in the world. And then we also have significant distribution of institutional and business clients that want to interface with Coinbase. And so we think we sort of have the pieces. And so we're excited about being opportunistic there. The other piece that I think we're excited about, which has kind of been discussed in many different forms, but the everything exchange. So historically, Coinbase has been a pretty like a single asset class brokerage firm since day zero. I mean, we've just offered crypto. Over the last 6 to 8-ish months, we've made this strategic shift to begin offering non-crypto based assets in a way that feels authentic to Coinbase, and that's a pretty big shift for Coinbase. And I think for us that there's that sort of creates opportunity for us to accelerate our path through M&A. And there's probably a few more, but maybe I've given you a lot there, so I'll pause there and see if there's anything you want to dig on.
I mean, how are you thinking about prediction markets?
That was the next one on the list, man.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're tremendously excited about prediction markets, I think, from many perspectives. And Coinbase is this interesting kind of amalgamations of types of people, and it just kind of depends on the conviction level based on who you talk to at Coinbase. For folks that have more traditional finance backgrounds, they're like, event contracts, that's been around for a long time. And then you talk to the much more crypto native, like, well, geez, this is much more global, permissionless, decentralized on crypto rails. And I think the net of it is the category is undeniably going vertical, and we think that it's a really interesting use case for crypto rails. I think in addition to that, we have a pretty interesting set of characteristics that can help us, potentially accelerate having an offering here. And I think we've made this public. We're going to offer prediction markets through the Everything Exchange by the end of the year, but we think there's a lot more that can be done there.
I mean, I think that prediction markets for the longest time were a thing that people were maybe still trying to grok the scale of. I think that's clearly shifted here. And now I think folks are on the other side of it going, I mean, there's rumors of Polymarket raising it at $15 billion, and the jokes are abound around it. I mean, in what you just shared there, it seems as if you guys are actually seeing a much bigger opportunity than is even represented in the market today. Can you dive into that a bit?
Yeah. So look, I think that prediction markets are going to evolve in ways that I don't think any of us can really comprehend even right now. And I think what it looks like today is, well, gosh, it's a lot of sports betting. Is Taylor Swift going to, sing this song or that song? But I think the types of use cases that you can see from that are just going to evolve in ways that I certainly can't predict. And I don't think many people can predict. And I think, for me, and I think certainly for folks at Coinbase, what gets us super excited is you essentially, I think, over the last 20 or 30 years have had an internet that has, at least previously been an open, beautiful, decentralized, permissionless place. You have SMTP, you have TCP/IP, you have these applications built on top. And, for the first time, in history, you have this global connected information network. And I think push that forward 20, 30 some odd years, it's now more or less wholly owned and an oligopoly by like the 3 or 4 major big companies. And, I think the byproduct of that is you have information overload and information optimization that has created an internet that, it's hard to find truth. And from my perspective, what gets me super excited about prediction markets is that it's an alternative source of information for major events in the world, and one that you can put the trust and beauty and purity of markets behind it, and like have an alternative kind of way in which to interpret what's happening in the world. So I personally think, to be more responsive to your question, maybe to be a little less grand, I think that, from my perspective, it's going to evolve in ways that we can't like predict, I think, right now. And I think unbelievably bullish on it.
We like the grand. We're here for the grand. This is, I mean, pump the optimism into my veins. I think my general take, having been through many cycles in the development of technology, is that it's just very, very hard to grok what true scale looks like at any one point in time. And it just seems like a dumb move to take the under on any of it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
All right, man. Let's leave it there. Appreciate you hopping on. I think we've talked a lot about some of the moves you guys have made in the past, and it's really great to hear from the horse's mouth. The guy's actually in there signing some documents, negotiating the stuff, I guess, how you've approached it and where things might be going. I think there's actually a lot of alpha in what you've shared here with us. I'm sure a lot of the builders out there that are in these categories would be very intrigued by it. Yeah, interesting days ahead. Appreciate you jumping on. When you go do your next big thing, we would love for you to come and have this as one of your stops on where you announce it. So that's my offer to you, sir.
Awesome, guys. Really, really appreciate it. Great to see you guys. Chat soon.
Cheers.
Ciao.